what's up? This is Coach Stokes, Stokes House Boxing Academy. You got to stay ready so you ain't worry about getting ready.
Yo, 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 welcome to Coach Stokes' Champions Creed, the podcast where we explore the essence of champions and what it takes to reach the pinnacle of success. I'm your host, Coach Stokes, and today we have a very special guest joining us all the way from Saudi Arabia. Coach Abdullah Al-Kidd, better known as Coach Abdullah, is a seasoned educator, mentor, and coach with a rich background in athletics, From his early days, immersed in the world of boxing under his father's guidance to his remarkable journey through football, track, and powerlifting, Abdullah's story is one of passion, perseverance, and dedication to sports. His athletic prowess led to a full ride scholarship at the University of Idaho, where he continued to excel both on the football field and in his beloved sport of boxing. Despite the demands of collegiate football, Abdullah remained connected to boxing, competing in smokers on the Nez Perce Indian Reservation. Post-college, Abdullah pursued opportunities in professional football, attempting trials with the NFL teams like Minnesota Vikings, Oakland Raiders, and Washington Redskins. I wish one of those would have been the New York Giants, which is all good. Though and football dreams didn't come to fruition, his commitment to boxing remained unwavering. Transitioning into coaching, Abdullah founded the first American football team in Saudi Arabia in 2009. Shouts out to him for doing that. Showcasing his dedication to spreading his love for sports on a global scale. Welcome, my brother, Coach Abdullah. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for accepting, brother. Thank you for coming on the show. Not the first time. This is what second. This is your second or third time.
I think this is my third time.
This is your third time because I had you on the
Yeah.
Roundtable podcast, and I'm going to be having
Right.
another one. I'm gonna have another one soon with some other coaches and fighters. So I would love for you to come on that as well, brother. It'll be good. It'll be good. Let's get right into it, brother. What does being a champion mean to you, Coach?
Wow, that's an important question. Being a champion to me means that you did all that you were supposed to do, all that you're required to do, and the little bit extra comes from God. That's what I mean. That's what it means to me, because I think it takes all of those three components to be a champion. You got to do everything you're supposed to do, everything you're required to do, and then that extra little seasoning is that talent that no coach can instill in an athlete. It's there, and it's there from God.
So would you say, well, let me ask you this. What's the difference between a champion and someone who's on that elite level, who's a contender? What's the difference between a champion and a high elite contender?
I think that in every contender, a trained eye can see the moments of, or not moments, but the skill set difference in a certain particular thing, whether it may be technique, whether it may be in their training, whether it may be in mentality, their approach to the fight, their discipline in the fight lifestyle. Whereas a champion, I think the vast majority, and especially those that have longevity, they minimize those things. They've minimized the mistakes. They minimized those blank spots. And I think that's what separates them. They don't make as many mistakes, and they capitalize on the contender's mistake
Definitely.
and the will to persevere. and then we're to persevere. I think that's something we forget about champions, because in this area, they think a champion is a guy who's undefeated, or a guy that doesn't get knocked down, or a guy that doesn't get hurt or wobbled or stunned. The champions with the most longevity, they persevere through those moments.
Right. Coach, before we start, the angle that you have the camera, I don't know if it's the light, but it seems like it's going dark and it's getting light and it's getting dark. It's going back and forth. So I don't, if you could position your camera. Okay, let's go with that for right now. I agree with your last, what you just said last, because a champion that has no character is one that, people want to follow a story. People want to see, if you have a record that's unblemished, it's fine, it's good, but you kind of want to see that individual kind of like Superman. You seen Superman? If Superman went through the entire universe and he's whooping up on everybody, you'd be like, okay, then he's Superman. All right, then. But he has to have some type of heel or some type of villain that's going to make him even better, that's going to push him. And you want that type in the champion where, he's going to get pushed, he's going to get tested. Muhammad Ali didn't go undefeated. Mike Tyson didn't go undefeated. Larry Holmes didn't go undefeated. Manny Pacquiao is not undefeated. But when he lost, or when they lost, they came back even stronger. And the fan favorites or the audience loved them even more, because it was like, you know what? Hey, we want to pull for him even more because he lost, but we know he can come back even stronger. So I totally agree. And one thing I always say when it comes to a champion, a contender will get to something and then he have an obstacle, and he may get around the obstacle, or he may not, and it's like, you know what, I'm done. Or if he feels that hurt, it's like, you know what, I'm hurt, I don't know if I can keep going. But with a champion does not quit, does not stop until the job is done. That's just facts. A champion is going to find a way to get the job done. It's kind of like it's kind of like going all the way to the end, but not knowing the outcome. But you don't care. It's like doing this all the way, not knowing what outcome is going to be. Either or, I'm doing this because I love it. And like you said, and without the man above, he definitely has to be within the equation. That's a very good answer. I love that, Coach, especially when it came to God. You have to have that. Can you describe the sacrifices you've had to make on your journey to success, Coach?
As it relates to sports or in general?
To sports.
The biggest sacrifice I would say was closing my mouth and turning off my mind. And I've had different coaches with different styles, different techniques, all of them effective, that basically would force that situation to happen. Because there's a lot of times as you grow up as an athlete, your personality gets in the way. You learn something about the sport, your knowledge gets in the way. It can, for some, fatigue can get in the way. Laziness, delaying things, not having a sense of urgency. So a lot of what I had to learn is just turn this off and turn that off. And whatever situation that coach is putting me through, you got to go through it, because he knows how to get to a place that I don't know how to get to. Perfect example, I tell a lot of the young guys I train now, I said a lot of stuff that was done to me, I couldn't do to you, because you guys aren't built that way. You guys wouldn't accept it. My coach used to drive on the freeway, get us out of the car, and drive to the next exit. And we had to jog to the next exit. Right? Where, you know, if I talked or if I thought, I'm not going to do it. So that was one thing that I had to learn. Also, there's a method to the madness. There is somewhat, if we collect all the stories of the greatest champions, there is somewhat of a template. There is somewhat. So you got to do the work. You have to go and do all the work. It's not going to come out of the sky. It's not going to come because you paid for it. Okay? It's going to come because you did the work. Those two things. And then also something that I struggled with as an athlete, as I got more recognized as an athlete, is accepting who you are. Accepting who you are, knowing your talents and knowing your weaknesses. Having confidence in your confidence in your talent, and struggling to work on your weaknesses.
Can you elaborate on that, Coach?
Okay, yes. There's a time when I was young. This is my redshirt sophomore year, and I've been designated the third down back for the University of Idaho. And that's a very key component player in that offense. And I struggle with that responsibility. Though I wanted it psychologically in the big game, it's third down. They all want you to perform. And I was kind of in between, and just certain words that my coach told me that clicked, that, you know, I later became, for that, at least that season, the third down king. Meaning accepting your talents and being confident in them. And then those little weaknesses that you have, you know, people listening to this probably don't realize I'm 5'6". And that year I weighed 175 pounds playing Division I football. So my weakness was my size. I had to be strong, quick, and agility. Those were my adjustments to my deficit, which was my size playing at that level. And I had to make it work, and I did make it work. That year we became the Big Sky, we became the conference champions, and I was on that team. A significant role in that team, significant plays in that year, as a 19, 20-year-old kid. Really having a psychological war in the moment. But like I said, my coach had these, seeds that he dropped that yielded good fruit, for me at least.
Right. How do you balance the dedication of the so many multiple sports that you were involved in?
For me as a kid, looking back, it was just life. My parents were divorced. My mother's the one who kept me away from boxing. She allowed me. My parents were very strict parents, the middle class parents. My father was a correctional officer. My mother was a project manager for IBM, 36 years. My mother had the rule that you could only play 2 sports, and you had to have a 3.0 GPA. People were telling me on that side, look, you can't get a scholarship playing, boxing. Plus, my mother wasn't going to allow me to do it. With my father, I had the freedom to box. However, I was mostly living with my mother, you see? And so for me, sports were outlets. I lived a strict life compared to my peers. even up until my senior year in high school, you know, I had the earliest curfew. So for me, it was life. It was an outlet, and I jumped at whatever opportunity I could. My heart was anybody that knows me, especially from elementary all the way up into college. My heart has always been with boxing, you know. But the love affair never got consummated, so to speak, you know.
Right, right. I like that you put that. I like your wordplay on that. What role has discipline played in your athletic achievements?
Um, well, what can you reword that a little bit for me?
Yeah.
Or
What role has discipline played in your athletic achievements? Meaning, you know, you being disciplined or being raised in
okay,
discipline. How has it helped?
okay. Well, that has helped me tremendously because when I was about 17 years old, my parents, although they could, they told me they weren't going to pay for college.
Hmm.
So I graduated in 1991. So those who are old enough to understand, you can understand the elements of society and what was out there.
Yeah.
So I had, you know, the opportunity I could go to the military. That was probably the safest option. The other option would learn a trade. The other option was to find a way to get to college. Or the fourth option would have been the streets, which if you understand the lifestyle in 1991 in America, there was a lot going on in the streets, a lot. So that was a lot of pressure for a 17-year-old to hear. And so I took it upon myself, and I got crazy stories. I mean, I took it upon myself to um, train my body as hard as I could to enhance myself to be a college, uh, uh, you know, a college scholarship recipient. So, I mean, I'm talking about, I was one of there used to be a whole program called the original program, and it was sponsored by Nike at that time. So I was one of the original like test subjects for this, and it was called Bigger, Stronger, Faster, 20 pounds in 60 days. And I did that. I did that workout, and I went from 165, no, 155 pounds to 17 to 175 pounds in about 60 some days. Straight muscle, no steroids, no nothing, just food and working out. Um, I used to buy medical tubing to tie on my garage door and tie it around my neck, waist, and I would do sprints. Um, um, there used to be this hill that by the time you got to the top of it, you're not running anymore; you'd be climbing it. Um, these were things I did on my own. Um, I would have there used to be an old white guy that lived close to this is the time I practiced. I grew up in the church next to our church. I would go have private sections of bag and mitt work with him during this time. I was doing anything I could to be in the best shape possible, strongest. Those are back in high school days. That's when I was a competing power lifter. So I was, trying to break all the records I could in powerlifting. I was trying to run as fast as I could in track, and try to do the best I could on the football field. And eventually led to, I was I won't say a very extremely highly recruited running back out of the state of Washington, but I had a lot of options of full ride scholarships that I could have chose that have landed me anywhere in the country. Excuse me. I chose University of Idaho because of John L. Smith. And he was the only coach that came to me that wasn't like a salesman. And I liked the way, the one thing, because I was, you know, I was the only male in a single parent home. And I liked the way him and Coach Petrino presented themselves to my mother. They were very respectful. And then I think all of that discipline led to that moment. And that's where my life, you know, took another trajectory.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that with us. Can you share a defining moment in your athletic career that has shaped you personally as a champion?
Two things.
Mhm.
My run in against Boise State University in 1992 in Boise State on the Smurf turf. It's an excellent run. It kind of it just sealed my name in University of Idaho history with that run. That run is an amazing run. And my first smoker fight in Lapwai, Idaho, at the Paniwas, in which the special guest was Archie Moore.
Really?
And there's nothing really significant about the fight. I mean, I fought well, but just simple fact that I didn't have an amateur career. I didn't have a pro career. The simple fact that I had the opportunity to fight in front of one of the greatest fighters ever and meet him personally and talk to him and listen to him. Hey, man,
Hey, one of
those
the
two
greatest
moments
ever.
right there.
Yeah,
Yeah. Those two moments right there. That does it for me.
wow. You fought in front of the mongoose himself. Wow.
Yes.
That's definitely big. That's huge. That's huge. How do you handle setbacks and failures when it comes to, when it comes to anything that you do in life? Because you have a lot of fighters that's gonna be watching this, and guys, as you know, boxing is I see boxing as a way of life. It's just like life. You get knocked down, you got to get back up. You get fear. You have to find a way to overcome that. You get nervous, you got to find a way to settle yourself down. But how do you personally handle your setbacks, Coach?
Well, I didn't get this way except through trial and error. Um, and the heavier the trauma, the more opportunity you have to show that you're really a champion. And I say that contextualized because in life we can go through, you know, many different difficulties, and some of those difficulties may weigh heavier on the heart or on the psyche than others. Um, One concept that I had to accept or understand, and not only understand, but actualize in my life is that you're going through it for a reason. God takes you through it to get you to it. The it is is the unknown, but you got to go through it. And it doesn't feel good when you're going through it, but the belief that, like, for example, if you're backed into a corner in a fight, there's only one way. I mean, I'm not going to talk about strategy, but you understand what I'm saying. There's only one way out of that corner. You gotta leave that corner. If you get knocked down, the only way is to go up. So with these concepts, you have to understand there's light at the end of the tunnel. We have to be strong enough to endure the trauma, understand the trauma, process the trauma, and make means to move beyond it and let us turn that negative energy into positive energy to strengthen us. And we're going to learn valuable lessons about the trauma to avoid falling in it again. And if we happen to fall in it again, because we're subject to error as humans, we even know better how to deal with it. And that's how I kind of deal with my setbacks. When my setbacks happen, I've learned now to just take a breath, relax, open up the mind, open up the eyes. What am I seeing? What just happened? Who are the players? What's the issue? And we have to break these things down, to get a full picture of it. A lot of times when we have the emotional reaction, it's always going to be the wrong reaction. It's always going to be a wrong reaction to a setback. We're going to have a natural sorrow, but that sorrow has to come to an end. And now we have to think, and we have to heal. We have to move on. And that's what I can say about that.
And answer, Coach. I do want to go down a different path right now. This is the holy month of Ramadan, and I wanted to ask you this because I've had a fighter reach out to me, and he said, Coach, can I fast during the times of when I'm training? I'm getting ready for this fight, So I wanted to know your opinion on if you're training fighters, or have you ever trained fighters during the month of Ramadan?
Not when they had a fight schedule, but I do. I train every year during Ramadan while we're fasting before we break fast. I do that every single year. I mean, ever since probably 2016, we do it every year. I've never had a fight when he has a fight where it's in the fight camp. No, and that's like a fighter, because over here I train other. I get some fighters for strength and conditioning, so it could be MMA, kickboxing, Muay Thai. I've never had any type of fasting when he had a fight scheduled.
Got you. So if he had a fight schedule, you would not have him fast during that time.
I don't know. I just don't have the experience doing it. I think theoretically, on paper, it can be done.
Okay.
I think theoretically it can be done.
Because there have been fighters that have done it. For example, he's not a fighter, but the great Hakeem Olajuwon that played for the Houston Rockets, he would fast
Right.
during
Right.
the times of the finals, and he said he felt even stronger. I've met individuals that have said the exact same thing. They feel stronger. Their mind feels sharper. So I just wanted to know, how that would be for a boxer if he had to get ready and fight.
I personally, this is why we do it. There's studies out there that your testosterone increases while you're fasting, especially if you train while you fast. So anyway, outside of fasting, when you train, resistance train, your testosterone spikes. It just goes back down. So I would think, and that is increased a little bit according to what I've read, while you're fasting. I think it, like I say, on paper, I think it could definitely be done. I haven't heard of any fighter that has done it. I can't remember hearing about Bernard or J Rock or any of the Muslim fighters that I can recall right now. Matthew Saad Muhammad, Dwight Muhammad Qawi.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I don't recall hearing them guys fasting. I mean, I don't know.
Okay. Coach, what motivates you to keep pushing forward even during the times of adversity?
My goal. If you have a goal and you're sincere to it, you should expect adversity. And you have to be willing to work beyond it. I think, it takes a lot of pressure to create a diamond. I think if you want to make a sharp sword, you have to put it in fire. You have to beat on it. Anything that, if your goal is valuable to you, you will expect, embrace, and move beyond all adversity.
So let me ask this: what advice would you give to an aspiring champion who is dealing with self adversity, or how to face adversity?
How to face let's identify what is the adverse. I want to
Um,
identify it.
he's having self-doubt about himself.
Okay, so this goes back to what I was talking about myself. You got to accept who you are, and your positives is what got you to where you are. So you have to accept that. That's where your confidence dwells. That's where your warrior spirit is.
Right.
This is your undeniability. When you walk into that ring, all those things that got you to here is your moment of domination in that place. And your self-doubt usually comes from doubt. And what is doubt? Doubt is a question mark. Doubt is a question mark. Let's deal with the facts and let's not worry about question marks, because question marks are endless. They're endless. So we have to focus on what got you here. All those wins, all those positive things you've done in the ring and in the gym. That's what you got to stand on. That's what you got to be proud of. Not arrogant, but you got to be proud of that, and you got to honor it, and you got to be willing to highlight it and show it and use it as a dominating force in the ring.
A lot of people, when the rubber meets the road and they really look at themselves and they find out who they really are, a lot of them really don't care for who they really are, or what they see, and they have to deal with that. They have to deal with that. But as you said, that's growth, though. That's growth. And if you can honestly look in the mirror and say, you know what, this is who I am. I don't like what I see, or I don't like what I've become, but you make adjustments, that is huge growth, especially as being a man. We have to be more accountable to ourselves. I agree wholeheartedly with what you said, Coach. This sport of boxing is something where you cannot go in there playing around. Um, if you're my coach, and you're saying, "Hey, Steve, have you been running?" Yeah, I've been running, Coach. All right, well, we gonna see. And we'll see well before we even get into the boxing ring, because you're gonna be able to see in training, you're gonna be able to see in sparring, you're gonna see when I'm on the bag, on the pass, whatever it is. You cannot cheat this 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 lifestyle. That's why I tell people it's a lifestyle. Boxing is a lifestyle, and you have to be able to do this 24/7 all the time. Coach, can you share a memorable coaching moment that illustrates the essence of champion mentality that you've experienced?
One more time, because I
Can
want to get
you
this right.
don't not a problem. Can you share a memorable coaching moment that illustrates the essence of champion mentality?
Mm.
It could be with you, or it could be with a athlete that you've coached, anything. Something that sticks out.
Mm. I'm trying to stay out of football. I have a situation. Okay, I have one. He's a future champion. There's his main coach is a brother out of Jersey, Coach Nasser, aka Victor.
Mm-hmm.
He was has about like 90 fights as an amateur, about 10 fights as a pro. So we share a guy out here. And there's a time when Victor was on vacation. So the fighter was with me for about 3 months. And he's washing all the sparring partners. I'm just like washing them all. So we train in a private gym, and there's a pro boxer. I think he's retired now. That trains in there. And I asked him, I said, we need to get some rounds in with you. And he was actually, kind of shocked that I would ask him, because at this particular time, this fighter hadn't had an official amateur fight in this country. He done sparred a lot of people, but he hadn't had an official amateur fight.
Yeah.
So the guy is really shocked, but I'm telling him, like, man, look, you're in tip-top shape. Mm-hmm. You've been with Coach for how many years? You've been coming over here for how many years, back and forth. You need this, man. And I said, all you got to do is this: follow exactly the rules, and your talent will take over. I want you to do X, Y, and Z, and only X, Y, and Z, and let your talent take over. The main thing I was telling him, because of who he's fighting, stay on your jab, move to the right, and just watch everything open up. These two things: just stay on your jab, high and low, move to the right, okay? And watch everything flow. And all the stuff that Coach had been working with him, all the stuff I've been working, and he literally washed this 10-year pro.
Oh.
To where, yeah, he washed it, inside, outside. Everything that he had been taught just flowed out of him. And he was so shocked. And we didn't record it on purpose because I knew it was going to happen. I already knew it was going to happen before it was going to happen. Uh-huh. And so that, to me, is not a credit to me. That's a credit to those who taught me. It's not a credit to me. Because basically, if it was recording, it was boxing 101. But like I told him, your talent will shine. Stay on the 101, and your talent gonna come out. And man, I wish it was recorded. I wish it was recorded. But because he was an active pro, I didn't record it.
Right. Out of respect. I hear you. How do you cultivate a winning mindset in yourself, but most importantly through your athletes? A winning mindset.
Mine was forced upon me. I had really, really, really tough coaches all throughout my life in all disciplines. Everything that I played, or everything that whether it's football, running track, powerlifting, and boxing, I always had really coaches that taught being a champion, taught being a winner, taught reaching for the sky. You don't want to just be on in the game. You want to be a winner in the game. And one thing I wanted to tap on that you said earlier, this is why I love boxing more than football. Football is a sport, is a team sport. You're allowed, sometimes you can hide between your teammates, but boxing will strip you naked. And it'll reveal who you are. You'll reveal your character flaws. And it's coaches like yourself, who are able to nurture a fighter through those character flaws. You know, I'm sorry, coach, get me back on track.
It's okay. I said, how do you cultivate a winning mindset in yourself and through your athletes?
Yeah. So the thing with my athletes is it starts from day one. I'm always planting seeds. With certain athletes, I might play some little mind games with them only to create a teaching moment, not to humiliate them or something like that. But I do some of those little mind games because they worked and they were mind games on me. They worked well, but not to humiliate them or to downgrade them, just to create a reaction out of them so I can create a teaching moment. I can use that as a teaching moment. I never let my my athletes leave the gym after a bad day in the gym. I don't want to see them walk out sad. I want them to process what happened, which is why I use, even though I don't post a lot, that's why I use a lot of video. Video is important to catch those moments when you know, to create teaching moments. Because I've seen, I mean, I'm sure you've seen it before. You know, I've seen guys challenge guys. Guy gets beat up, doesn't show up to the gym for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, a matter of fact, the guy I was just telling you about beat up a guy I used to train. He beat him up. He didn't show up for 2 weeks. It was a time when that fighter was with Coach Nasser, and this fighter was with me. And yeah, that's a whole nother story how coaching is over here. a lot of bouncing around. But
Right.
alhamdulillah, me and Coach Victor, we share.
Okay.
Because I have the strength and conditioning aspect.
Got you. Do you have any lessons you have learned from your victories and defeats?
I'm from the old school that says the good takes care of itself. So I always focus on the defeats. I want to learn from the defeats.
Right.
Just because I did this good this time don't mean the next time it's going to be good. So sometimes when you just get used to what works when you win, what happened when you lost?
Right.
So I wanna focus on the losses, not the wins, because the win that'll take care of itself. The loss is where I wanna focus on that. I wanna focus on what mistakes. What if it's not a mistake? What if it's a choice between good, better, or best? You know,
I agree.
sometimes.
Yeah. No. I totally agree. I tell my son that. He looks at me at times where I'm smiling. If he has a defeat, and he's just like he don't get it. But when he wins, I'm just like, okay, you won. But you learned the most from your defeats. You're gonna come back even more of a dog from your defeat. You know, those things that I've been telling you over and over again. Now it may sink in your head, like, okay, I understand. Oh, now you telling me that's why you telling me to pull back, or that's why I have to go out them extra 10 seconds. I got to turn it up. Now I get it. But if you keep winning and winning and winning, I'm not gonna say you're not gonna learn, but it's gonna be kind of difficult because you're not making those mistakes where, oh, you know what? I get this now. Now he say do this. Oh, okay then. I don't want everyone leaving them in the judge's hands. My son gets this now, coach, where it's like never leave it in the officials' hands. Because if you do,
Yes,
you will lose all the time. You can't depend on them. And he gets that now. He understands that. Go ahead, coach.
and I have to say, mashallah, your son is looking sharp. And I gotta say this on this podcast. I've seen you, coach, work from day one with your son. And look, this is one thing people got to understand. Notoriety and this social media age, a lot of the really highly talented, gifted coaches are not highlighted. And I'm telling you, Coach Stokes, and it's not because he has me on his show. I'm saying this because anybody that has a boxing eye, go watch this man, how he developed his own son. It's remarkable. The development I've seen from how small he was to where he is today. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Jazakallah, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And
Yeah.
you actually seen my son grow from the age of 5 to he's 13 now. So you've
Yeah.
actually watched him, so that means a lot to me. Thank you so much, brother. Because you do know boxing and you do know athletes. I want to ask you this and give me a serious answer. How do you define success beyond winning? How do you
Success
define
beyond
success
winning.
beyond winning? Yes.
That's a great question. That goes back to it's not whether you win or lose, it's how you play the game. So let's say you get in a fight, you're in tip-top shape, your coach gives you the game plan, you execute the game plan to the best of your ability, and maybe even sometimes above the ability that you thought. But you didn't win, you didn't quit, and you did everything you could to win. But at the end of the day, you lost. If I'm your coach, you won. If I'm your coach, you won because you did everything right.
That's right.
You can't. There's elements in the fight that are uncontrollable. You can't control the referee. You can't control the judges, and you definitely can't control the other fighter. So I think success beyond winning is how the approach. If you did everything right, diet, sleep, training, everything was right. Even when you watch film, the little nuances, things that you might nitpick at, you'll be like, man, I did everything right. It just you fought a winner's fight, but you didn't win.
Great answer. Great answer. What is the legacy that Coach Abdullah wants to leave behind as a coach and as a mentor?
I've always wanted the legacy I want to leave behind is that I always wanted every person I coached, once I decided to become a coach, to be a part of my family. Everything that I've learned, I want to transfer over to every worthy student that I've ever had. I want them to absorb what I have and pass it on. I didn't make the stuff up that I got, and so like I said, I'm the coach for the people. I guess yeah, seriously. I'm not. I don't try to step out of my lane. I don't try to be bigger than who I am, or claim a title that I don't deserve. And so I think that's what the people need. They need somebody that's personable and that they can relate to. And that's what I'm trying to be. That's what I've been doing since I've been in this country. And if I were back in the States, I would be doing the same. Yeah.
If you was here in the States, I definitely would love to work with you, without a doubt, man, with training fighters. I know we would have
Man.
our team would be so
Yes.
inshallah, man. I get to Saudi Arabia and I come out there and I come visit you for at least 2 weeks, bring my son, bring my family, and we can work with my son. We definitely gonna do that. We definitely have to.
Oh man, that would be beautiful.
Yes. Before we wrap up, I want to ask you this. What advice would you give to coaches aspiring to make a difference in their athletes' lives?
Get to know them as best as you can. Try to, fully understand who they are, how they think. I think that's where you're going to get the most out of them. I think sometimes as coaches, sometimes we could be too ideological, sometimes too egotistical, sometimes. But I think if we could put the ideology in the fighter later, if you want to put it in there. You could put the ego in later. But I think the most important thing is to really know who they are to get the most out of them. And be willing to accept who they are. It might be that you might have to put the guardrails on a raging bull. It might be that you might have to be the inspiration for an introverted, talented fighter. You might be introverted. You might have to be that motivator every time. So I think the more we know about these athletes, the better we can serve them.
Coach, I kind of fibbed. This is my last question before we wrap up, and I want to know, with everything that you've been through, everything that you've accomplished, what would you tell a younger you?
Box.
Yeah, I love the answer. I love the answer. I love the answer. Go. So basically, go where your heart is at.
Yeah, man. And ride that till the wheels fall off.
You heard
You
that.
know.
You heard that. Ladies and gentlemen out there, if it's something that you truly want to do, something that you truly desire, go ahead and do it, man. Seize the day, carpe diem. It doesn't matter. Go ahead and try it and do it. Because at the end of the day, you never want to be like, you know what? You have regret, woulda, coulda, shoulda. You know, chase your dreams. Hey, coach, do you have any sponsors, any people that you would like to shout out right now?
No sponsors.
Okay.
Uh, no sponsors. Who
Yeah.
would I want to shout out right now? I'm gonna shout out to my pops, man. Shout out my pops. He's recovering from major heart surgery.
Wow.
I'm gonna
Shout
shout
out,
out to
Dad.
you, Coach Stokes, for having me back on. And yeah, man, I don't really have any shout outs, man.
Okay, okay. If people want to get in contact with you, coach, and talk to you, and how do they what are your social media outlets, your handles? How they can find you?
Okay, if you want to hit me by email, it's Coach common spelling dot Abdullah Abdullah dot ALKIDD @gmail.com. Then you have Coach Abdullah _3 at Instagram. I got Former Vandal on Facebook. Former Vandal.
Okay.
You just type in Former Vandal, it'll pop right up. What else do I have? I think that's it. I got Coach Abdullah on Snapchat. I don't really post anything on Snapchat anymore. I haven't posted since probably 2018. But if you want to contact me, you can contact me there. I'm not really active on social media as I should be, but those are means that you could. I use those social media outlets mainly just to contact and communicate with people.
Which we OGs now, man. That's these young cats be doing that, man. It's a lot of work, man. Social media is a
It's
lot
a
of
lot of
work.
work.
For them,
It is.
that's all they know, But for us, our generation is like, hold up, man. Come on, man. Like, I'd rather write a letter. but
For real, for real.
but thank you for joining us on Coach Stokes' Champions Creed with our esteemed guest, Coach Abdullah Al-Kidd. Throughout our conversation, Abdullah shared invaluable insights into the sacrifices, dedication, and mindset required to be a champion in the sports and in life. From his early days in boxing to his pioneering efforts in Saudi Arabian football, Abdullah exemplifies the true spirit of a champion. Join us next time as we continue to explore triumphs and challenges of those who embody the Champions Creed. But always remember what makes a champion: foods you eat, the times you sleep, the friends you keep, the knowledge you seek, and the words you speak. My name is Coach Stokes, and I'm out.